The easiest way, I think, for people, particularly farmers, to relate to stress is it's a very physical thing. So we have stress hormones in our body. They're activated on a daily basis. They get us out of bed, get us down to the yards to kind of get the job done. But the difficulty comes, I guess, when hormones, or that arousal level, that's what we refer to it as, you're pumping up your arousal level, that if that goes on for too long without a break, then that's pretty hard for the body to sustain. There's a whole range of things that can go on for people. So in terms of our thinking and our brain, it can get a bit jumbled really. We get lots of intrusive kind of thoughts because we're thinking, what have we got to do next? What else have we got on? How are we going to manage that? So trying to keep up, and that intrusiveness of that thinking can be quite draining but also quite distressing for people. On a body or a physical side of things, it's hard for people, I guess, to switch off or to relax, and that's when that intrusive thinking can keep going on. It also can mean that we're not sleeping well because we're not coming down and relaxing. Our body's not relaxing again at night, so people can often find it hard to get to sleep, or they're waking up, and when they're waking up they're often thinking about what they've got to do the next day or possible worries or concerns that are on their mind. It's a bit of a continuum really, so because everybody feels under stress or has demands that outweigh their ability to cope. At the lower end of the spectrum, I guess it is things like, having a short fuse, feeling tired, losing a little bit of motivation, feeling like emotionally you're on a little bit of a roller coaster. Sometimes we can feel a bit tuned up, and thinking-wise, we get a little bit unfocused. Our thinking's a bit jumbled. It gets hard to make decisions and stay on track. So the coping bottle is something I used to use years ago with kids, but ironically, lots of dads seem to pick up on it. So it's just a very basic analogy which kind of says everybody's got like a 2-litre bottle, an empty bottle inside. I call it a coping bottle. When a demand or a stress comes along, there's room for that to fill up, and then there's room for it to empty back out. So we have a busy period, we're docking for a while, we're going hard out physically, it's pretty tiring, but then docking's over and it comes back down again. I mean, often what happens with people is that it can accumulate, and before we've had a chance to empty out our bottle and have some space, multiple things kind of build up. So you might be up to the top of your bottle, if you like, and then the smallest thing, there's only the neck left, so there's not much coping space, and so the smallest thing, I guess, can mean that then we get a kind of overflow and an explosion, and sometimes disproportionate to the situation. It could be your worker or your wife or whoever does a muck up on the drafting race or forgets something, and then boom, there's a big blow up about it, and really someone gets a hard time, and it's not really about that, it's about the fact that they're full up from everything else that's going on right now. The biggest thing is awareness, it really is. Being aware of when you're in busy periods, being aware when you've got a bit on your plate and how that can take its toll. It's not about you as a person or a personal weakness, it's the same for everybody. And if you feel like a few balls are starting to be dropped, then it's about being proactive. Come up with a bit of an action plan where you're just looking at, okay, what are the 1 or 2 top things I need to work on right now? Is it destocking, for instance? Is that what's going to make the biggest difference? Do I need to get some fertiliser on? Do I need to get an extra staff member? Just focus on the top 2 kind of things, park everything else, and then come back to it, because when you're at the top of your bottle, everything can seem like it needs dealing with, when actually some of that will go down once you're feeling back in charge of it. Basically, it's like if you want to stay productive and you want to be sustainable as a person on your farm, and you want your workers to be sustainable, then you've got to have breaks, because no one can stay at the top of their game doing 100% on an ongoing basis and stay being really efficient. It's just not how we're built. I mean, if you think of the All Blacks in the World Cup and how they built up and then they peaked, but they wouldn't have gone out and done another game 2 days later, would they? At the end of that, they would have had, within each week and within the month and the 2 months and so forth leading up to it, they would have been having recovery periods in their training, and it's no different with farming really. It's really about sustainability is the key word I use. If you want to be sustainable, you've got to inject recovery periods, and so that you don't get the cracks showing. And sometimes that's a bit challenging for people. They think the harder they work, the more they'll get out, but actually it doesn't work like that. It's really about staying at the top of your game if you want to stay in this industry, which is an amazing industry to be in. So we want to keep people here, and to do that you've got to be proactive about your health.